These are the faces of unconditional love. For many, four-legged friends are integral members of the family. But there are thousands of animals every year who are neglected, abused, and turned away. If they're lucky, they can find refuge in a shelter where they are given a second chance at life. And in today's disposable society, many shelters are filling up at rates they can't always keep up with.
Lots of puppies, lots of kittens, lots of adult dogs. People out there who have to surrender an animal for whatever reason, a lot of times they have to move into an apartment, for example, where pets are not allowed, or they have to relocate out of state. And they don't have the time to wait until space is open at a no-kill facility. They have the luxury of being selective. They have the luxury of turning people away.
When animals are turned away from no-kill shelters, they are always accepted at open-door shelters. But because of the stigma that is attached to their philosophy, which includes euthanizing unsafe and ill animals, these shelters are often a last resort for people who want to support animal charities. This is something Open Door Shelter Director Lee Nestler has been trying to overcome for years.
Every time an animal is turned away from an limited access or no-kill shelter, the only option is to go to an open-door shelter such as ours. What we're looking for is an animal that is safe to put back in the community, as well as one that doesn't have a medical condition that may harm the family. There are some diseases that are zoonotic, so if the animal has it, they can actually give it to the family. An open-door shelter helps all. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't say this old dog can't come into the shelter. We actually work with the older dogs or dogs with disabilities and make sure that they get placed.
Dogs like Harvey, who is deaf and blind, but found his new owners in Nestler's open-door shelter.
And once we met Harvey and found out what a wonderful dog he is and what a sweet dog he is, we decided right away that we wanted him.
Yeah, I mean, we met him in this room and he was walking around on his own, and at that point, you know, being deaf and blind and being able to find his way around this room was pretty amazing.
While stories like these may help to increase the number of adoptions, open-door shelters find it difficult to keep their doors open without proper funding.
Unfortunately, many people will actually donate more to no-kill shelters, and they're hindering the operation of an open-door shelter because we actually need the funding more because we have more animals to take care of. With over 13,000 animals annually, that's a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of veterinary care. And we have an individual, her name is Becky Torben. She's on the board, she donates regularly, and she's actually adopted animals from us. These type of individuals are so beneficial to our organization because they carry our mission, that open door mission, in their heart.
I believe in the open door concept. I think if you start to pick and choose, you lose your humanity, and that's so important here. We are humane to these animals we take in. Give them another chance.
As long as there are animals in need, there will be shelters available, serving as sanctuaries while they wait for their loving forever home. But without the support of faithful donors, many open-door shelters will be forced to close their doors. As awareness and acceptance grows, it is hoped that so will the understanding that every shelter is a safe haven. The Western Pennsylvania Humane Society has been a mainstay in the greater Pittsburgh region since 1874. It is one of the oldest animal welfare organizations in the country and has been committed to being an open-door shelter for more than 134 years.
Our mission has always been prevention of cruelty to animals. And it sounds like a very simplistic idea, but it's very complex because it has so many different facets. From our cruelty investigators going out in the community and looking at allegations of abuse and neglect and taking these people to court, to something as simple as dog obedience. We also have cat consultants that help you with litter box issues or introducing that second or third cat to the first one. We also have a clinic that does low-cost spay and neuter. You know, a big problem with pet overpopulation is people not spaying and neutering their pets. So what we do is we keep these programs at a level where everybody can afford it. This program is set up based on people's income. So if you make less, then you have to pay less for the program. And what that does is it helps prevent these animals from coming back to us. All we really want is for a pet to stay in a loving home.
Nestler, along with Gretchen Pfizer, the Director of Marketing and Business Relationships, also believe in taking care of business beyond the shelter walls by educating youth at a local juvenile detention center on animal welfare.
Trying to teach the kids respect, care, how to train, how to care for an animal, not to frighten it, but to work with it. I've talked to kids that have families that have dog fighting, absolutely. So it's not an easy sell of what we do at Humane Juvenile Detention Center, but it is a necessary sell, I guess I should say.
There are also future plans to further enhance the shelter, including expanded behavior classes, disease prevention, and making more room for their temporary guests. But in order to make the desired improvements a reality, the shelter is relying on the community's support.
The Western Pennsylvania Humane Society does not receive any local, governmental, or federal funding. We rely on the generosity of our donors, our members, and some foundations in the Pittsburgh area. So it is imperative that people who want to be involved with animal welfare, that they reach out to the Humane Society and help these mouths that need to be fed every day.
I've been involved at the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society for over 7 years. And this shelter is important to me because of the large number of animals that come through here and the chance that we give them to live a new life.
What people don't realize is many animals would never be available for adoption if their only option was a limited access shelter, because their door is closed. They are limited in the number of animals they can take, and that animal's only salvation is to come to an open door shelter to be adopted out through a facility like ours. So if a donor is teetering on the fence and trying to decide where to send their money if they want to fund an animal shelter, I believe that they can help many more animals if they help an open door shelter such as the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society.
To find out how you can make a difference and help the many animals in need, log on to WPAHumane.org.